Hi, we are live. Welcome to our TPG Pinterest Powerhouse Chat. I am so excited that you're here joining us. We have been planning this for a long time, and it's so exciting that tonight is our night. I am Kelli Alaina Wise. You can just call me Kelli. I am a happy wife, a mommy of 3 boys that I call my wise guys, and I've been a teacher for the last 11 years. I'm excited that you're here tonight because I'm starting a brand new journey. My mission is to help teacherpreneurs just like you guys to grow your businesses online. And I just really believe that you have so much to offer to the world beyond your own classroom walls. So my goal is just to give you time-saving strategies to get yourself out there and to help more teachers and more students around the world. So that's why we're here tonight. We are learning more about Pinterest from a couple phenomenal ladies who have experience teaching. They have their own TPT stores, and they are experts at Pinterest. So we're going to learn so much from them tonight. I'm so thankful for both of them being so gracious to offer us their time and just to pour their knowledge into us. So we are ready to just dive in. I'm going to introduce them, and I'll have them say hello, and we will just go from there. So first, I'm going to pull up Malia. This is Malia Hollowell from Play-Doh to Play-Toe, and she has over 36,000 followers on Pinterest. Malia, do you want to tell us just a little bit about your business and why you got started on Pinterest?
Yes, so as Kelli said, my business is called Play-Doh to Play-Doh, and it started as a website, and I realized that I could use my website as a platform to sell teachers pay teachers products because many of my readers were teachers who wanted products that they could use in the classroom to make their lives easier, and it seemed like I had a perfect platform to make that happen. So I started with Pinterest about 2.5 years ago when a friend told me that there was this awesome social media channel called Pinterest and I should really check it out, and I was terrified. But I went on and I started playing around, and then I became addicted, as many people can appreciate. And ever since then, I've been pinning, I don't know, every single day pretty much for the last 2.5 years. It is truly an addiction of mine. And when Kelli asked us to share a mistake that we made along the way that we've since learned from, the biggest thing that I've learned over the last 2.5 years that I wish I could change was that I would ask my followers from the very beginning what kinds of things they want, because as I found through Pinterest, my Pinterest followers are pinning the same sorts of content time and time again. And we'll show you tonight how you can easily find out what they're most interested in, but it would have saved me so much time if I would have just figured out what kinds of things they are looking for and focused on that type of pin. So.
Awesome, thank you. And our other lovely lady sharing with us tonight is Janice Malone of ELA Seminars, and she has currently over 31,000 followers on Pinterest. So Janice, can you tell us just a little bit about your business and what brought you to Pinterest?
Yes, I started about the same time Malia did, actually, about 2.5 years ago. And I teach part-time at Stockton University here in New Jersey. And one of the students that I had in class said, why don't you post some of the lessons that you're asking us to do to Pinterest? Well, I had never even heard of Pinterest. And she said, well, you have to hear about it because just go in there and see. She said, it's just like all the stuff that you're doing. So I went to Pinterest and I liked it, but I was just starting out in my business at the same time. So I was trying to figure out like how I could juggle all these social media sites. They said you have to be where your customers are. So I set up myself on Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest, and the best advice I got was from somebody who said, just pick one and just learn everything that there is to learn about it. So I picked Pinterest because I would be able to upload a ton of lessons there for students that I had, and for teachers that when I would go out to do seminars, I'd say pull up my Pinterest site and there'll be 300 lessons there that you can just pull up in your classroom and use. So that's how I started using it, and then I realized that you could monetize it and send it to my Teachers Pay Teachers store, and the rest is history. So I got addicted too, just like Malia did. Probably my biggest mistake was repinning without putting my spin on why I repinned it. Like every time I would repin, after I was pinning for about 3 months or so, I started saying why I thought it was great. And then I started getting a lot more followers because people were saying, oh, somebody else is pushing this pin, not the person who actually wrote it.
Right. And you know what? I love that advice, especially for newbies, about just sticking to one thing to get started, because I think you just get so overwhelmed. There's just so much out there on social media. So just to find that one thing that you are addicted to, and Pinterest is very addicting, and just do that thing that you love, because that's, I think, where you're going to be most successful. So I think that was great advice. Just to give everybody a rundown of where we're going to head tonight, in our TPT social media tribe, I asked if anyone had questions to submit your questions, and we would try to go over the top questions that we found in the next roughly about an hour. We're shooting for an hour. If we go a little bit over, that's okay. So what we've done is we have chosen the best of the best questions, and we're going to go through them from kind of newbie level to intermediate to advanced. So that's the progression that we'll go through, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time at the end, so hang on. If we don't answer your top question, we might have a chance for you to type in your questions, and then they can answer those questions live in our Hangout. For right now, just while I'm thinking about it, if you could, I think there are comments that if you're watching live, you can type in and tell us if you are hearing us clearly and seeing us okay. Now I know it gets a little bit fuzzy and a little bit glitchy at times, but if you're able to enter a little chat message to let us know that you're able to see us and hear us, that would be really helpful. So we'll see if this works. This is really a maiden voyage for all three of us. We've never done this before, so we're hoping it's working out okay, and so far I don't see any messages, so maybe this is not working. I don't know if maybe it's only us that can do it. Maybe if I click Q&A, let's see, does anyone at home see a chance to type in a message to us? If you do, type away. We'll give a couple seconds and see. Oh, yay! It worked. Hearing you great. Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. Nice. Okay. Then we will get on with it and start off with our first newbie question. And it comes from Mandy Breton from Cafe and Lesson Plans. And she asks, do you recommend personal Pinterest accounts to be separate from business accounts? And we are going to hand that over to Janice.
Okay, I think that what I do with my account is that everything on all of my boards are education boards. But whenever I want to pin something that's personal, I'll either like it and then it'll go right to my like section, or I will put it into secret boards so that everybody thinks that all I have are education pins, when in reality I have some fun stuff for myself. But it really would be too much to have two full accounts. But I do think that if you only have one account with all of the things that you love on there, it shows that you are passionate about the topic that people have actually come to your site to see, and then you're going to be considered an expert in that because that's all you're doing, that's all you're talking about. So they may go to other people for something, but they're going to come back to a person, I think, who only has education boards if that's what they're interested in. So that's why I do one because that's what I want. I want people to come to me, if they're looking for things for grades like 3 through 10, really.
All right, very cool. I love those secret boards. And I love that. I think you can have unlimited secret boards now. Is that right? It used to be limited to like 3.
3.
So I am big on secret boards. All right, the next question comes from Allison Yeager from Texan Teach. And she asks, what is your best advice for a brand new TPTer and blogger? And Malia is going to tackle this one.
So I tried to think of a Pinterest tip for brand new TPTer and bloggers that I just could not live without. And there were so many of them, but what it came down to was actually a blogging tip. So I hope this is still relevant for some of you. I would say from day one, you have to sign up for a premium ad network. There's one called the Blogger Network that works with blogs that have 10,000 page views on up. So once you reach 10,000 page views a month, sign up with them and you will start getting passive income. It's all about making money, ladies, because we are a business and we need to change our mindset so that people recognize that the hard work that we put into these products and these blog posts and these pins, we actually are, we're providing a service, and just like going to McDonald's, you pay for the service and people are happy to pay you for a service. So sign up for a premium ad network, and the Blogger Network is a great one to start with.
All right, very cool. The next one comes from Tessa Miller-Schwetter from The Crafty Teacher, and she asks, what is the best way to drive traffic to your store from Pinterest? She wants to know, should you direct to your store or should you direct to your blog post that then would have a link to your store? I know this is a pretty popular question floating around, and we're actually going to have both ladies weigh in on this. Janice, what do you think?
I do both because I think if you're going to pin directly from your store, my one piece of advice would be to make sure that you let the people know that in the pin description, so that you write down at the bottom that it's a priced item. So if you see a picture of a kid doing an activity, I'm going to think I'm going to a blog post. But if I click on it and it takes me to a store and I see I have to pay $3 to find out what that is, I'm going to be angry. So I want you to write down their priced item, or I want you to write in there available at Teachers Pay Teachers, or actually put $3 on the bottom if that's what you're charging for it. I've had a lot, now this is really recent, I've had a lot of success with taking infographics and then linking them directly to Teachers Pay Teachers and to a blog. So I can put an infographic out in one place and then put like $5, here, and they know that what they're seeing in the infographic, because it's almost like a mini blog post, is going to take them to that thing that's for purchase. And other times I'll just say, for more information, read more at the blog, I'm going to be ELA seminar gal next week, but up until then I was just Janice Malone. So anyway, so now I'll be putting, for more, read the blog at ELA seminar gal. So I like that, because then you can put the posts out in different ways and see which one does better and which one monetizes better.
So to clarify, you're saying you use the same infographic, but you do 2 different pins.
Right.
One to the store and one to the blog.
Right. Okay. So I'll send it out to, I like to send them now to group boards and then see which ones, I like to see which ones are sending more business to Teachers Pay Teachers.
Okay. Excellent. And Malia, what is your take on the pinning to blog versus pinning to store?
So I always pin to my blog for a couple of reasons. First, I have an on-site store, so in all of my paid product posts, I give readers an option to purchase on-site, which would save me 20%. I don't have to pay teachers a commission. And then I also give them a second option of continuing on to teachers pay teachers if that's their preference. A lot of people have a teachers pay teachers account. It's known and safe, and so they'd rather just hop over there, which is fine. But it gives me the option of doing both. And I also like having pins go to my blog because I get page views, which again, going back to the premium ad networks, that is passive income for me. I have more flexibility with my blog post layout. I can use bigger pictures. I can use a narrative dialogue, so I can have kind of a conversational kind of tone of voice when I'm talking to people, and also people will more likely find other products that they like because I can say with big pictures, go check out this other product that's related.
All right, well that makes a lot of sense as well. So our next question is from April Warren, and she's from the Glitter Tree. That sounds so fancy. And she asks, is joining group boards the best way to create traffic to your store? Now, I know Janice was talking a little bit about those collaborative boards, and this is a big topic. We're going to hand it back to Janice to tell us what's your collaborative board strategy.
Well, unless you are willing to promote a pin and pay for that, or pay for a service that's going to push your pins out at certain times when they know that your people are on, then group boards are definitely the way to go, because that's how you're going to get your pins in front of more people. Like I have 31,000, but the group boards that I belong to have over 100,000. So they're going to go out to places where they have an audience that I don't have. So the question actually would be, like, how do you get invited to these group boards? And sometimes you have to be assertive, and sometimes you can actually go to places. So I'm going to give you 3 different ways that I have done it, and then see if any of them work for you. The first one is to go to a site called Pin Groupie, capital P-I-N. And G-R-O-U-G-R is capital. And you can you'll see, I'll actually show that to you in a little bit later on in this little broadcast. We're gonna go to the actual Pinterest site, and if I remember to show you that, I'll take you right there as well. But you can just put in like what's your area, so you can put in education, accounting, it's for everyone. So I put in education, and then I put in middle school or upper elementary, and then it'll bring up all the people who have group boards, and then you click on their faces, and then it will tell you if there's taking people and if there are roles, and then how to contact them. So that's a really nice way to do it if you have no way of getting onto one, and if you don't have money to go to promote it, or if you just want to do it quickly. Another way is like when I went out to Teachers Pay Teachers last year. I didn't go to the conference this year, but when I went to Vegas last year, Rachel Lynette had one, and so did John Hughes, and anybody who came to his session got to be part of that group board. And then finally, I have had a lot of luck with Charity Preston. She has a lot of boards. She has boards from kindergarten to 12th, and she has a lot of followers, and hers is a paid, so it costs me $59 a year to belong, but my pins and my products, get pushed out to so many people that is worth it to me. So.
All right. Can you give us the name of John again? What was his last name?
John Hughes. He actually did a session on Pinterest last year. I think there was another woman who did it, Mel, I think did it this year, but John Hughes did a Pinterest session last year. And I think he takes people, even if you weren't in his session. Rachel Lynette closes it right to the people that were in her session. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want to just add one thing, if I'm still on, is that it really isn't the number of followers that you have that is going to determine whether you're going to be successful. It's the number of clicks that your pins get, and the number of repins that your pins get, because the shelf life on Pinterest is so long that your pin can just be going on and going on, and like next year somebody's going to find something that I pinned yesterday. You know, they just don't go away. They live on the site.
That, I think, is fantastic news for newbies who think, oh, it's going to take forever and ever and ever to get anywhere. Just to know that it's more about the quality of the pin. So thank you. That is huge. All right. So our next question is from Jacqueline Ortiz from the Little Ladybug Shop, and she would like some advice on setting up successful boards. How do you decide what to name your boards, and what should you put in your board descriptions? Malia, do you want to answer that one?
Yes. So I am a big nut for Google AdWords. So I'm actually going to show you how to use it, because I know the first time that you do this, it can feel really overwhelming. So let me just switch here. I'm going to switch so you can see my computer screen. Kelly, can you see it?
Yeah, it looks perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'm in Google, and I just type in Google AdWords, and you can see it pops up right here. Now, I already have an account, but for you, if you were signing up, you would just create an account, and they'll ask you to create an ad campaign. You obviously don't want to do that, but you just kind of go through the step-by-step process. They'll give you $100 free credit. And now this is what you really want. So here's your dashboard, and up at the top you can see it says Tools. So I'm going to click on Tools, and I'm going down here to Keyword Planner. And luckily this is being recorded, so you can go back and rewind if you need to see these steps again. Okay, so it's loading, and right over here it says Find New Keywords. So you're just going to click on this box that says Search for New Keywords using a phrase, website, or category. And now you want to type in some potential keywords that you're thinking about. So let's pretend that I'm working on trying to find good keywords for some sight word games that I have coming out. So I'm going to type in sight word games because that's the one that seems most obvious to me. But then I'm also going to type in some words and phrases that are pretty similar. So sight word activities, sight word literacy centers, and we'll even do word workstations, because all of these things could be under the same umbrella. I go down here to Get Ideas, and now Google is going through and they're counting up how many times those keywords have been typed into Google search over the last month. So I did this without telling you, so I clicked on Keyword Ideas right here instead of Ad Group Ideas. Ad Group Ideas is something you would use if you were setting up ads, so we don't want that. We're going to go to Keyword Ideas, and now you can see here are those 4 things that I typed in, and over here it tells me how many times people typed in those exact words into Google to try and find an activity that they were looking for. And you can see that sight word games, whoa, it has 9,900 average monthly searches. But look here, word workstations, not very many. So if I want to name a board on my Pinterest account, I want to use these words, sight word games. Now, it isn't really as simple as I just made it seem, because there's one more piece that we need to look at, and it's over here in this column that says competition. Competition means how many other websites are using those words and competing for them. So, for example, sight word literacy centers says medium. That means there are a lot of other websites, Pinterest boards, a lot of other people out there that are trying to go after the word sight word literacy centers. So it's not a very good keyword to go after, because we're kind of just small potatoes compared to the big guys that are spending lots of money to try and get in all of that traffic. So you want it to be a low competition, high monthly search word. And sight word games in this case matches both of those criteria, so it's a great fit. And let me see here. So then the next question is, what should you put in your board descriptions? And the answer is exactly, here I'm going to scoot back. Okay, am I back yet? Okay. So the answer is you're going to use those same words that we just used. So sight word games would be the title of our board, and then for our board description, we would try and use those keywords again. So fun sight word games, or sight word games you can do with kids at home, comma, literacy centers, comma, et cetera, et cetera. So you just try and use them again so that Google is picking them up twice.
Awesome. That was incredible. I mean, seriously, having to be able to see, you walking through that, I would have had a nightmare for weeks trying to figure out how to use that, and that just blew my mind. And for anyone who's watching now and you're thinking, holy cow, I'm trying to take notes so fast, like I think I missed something, don't worry. The replay is coming. When this is over, it will be back, and you can rewatch anything that you think you might have missed. So thank you. That was super. All right. Our next question is from Maureen Frybrun from Tales from a Very Busy Teacher. Aren't we all? Very busy teachers. And her question is, why is creating covers for your boards important? And I know just from the TPT social media tribe, there has been a whole lot of back and forth on what to do about your board covers. Should you make board covers that match, all the way through? Should you use photos? Should you just use your best pin? We've been all over the map with discussions on that, so I cannot wait to hear what you think about this. So Malia, what do you think about board covers?
Okay, well, I have a kind of a different take. I'm always trying to tweak things. You would not believe how often I go to my Pinterest page and I say, oh, I just really don't like that image. I'm going to look for a better option. This is what my Pinterest page looks like, and what I'm trying to do is communicate a story. That's always my number one goal. So when people come to my Pinterest profile, I want them to quickly see exactly what my brand is all about. So yes, it's about things that I personally like, but more importantly, it's about what my followers like and what people who will like my kinds of products will like. So up in the left-hand corner here, I have my Play-Doh to Play-Doh board, and this has all of the pins from my website. So this is the very first place that I pin my content so that people that are following this board get kind of the first eyes on what is fresh and new on the website. I have a lot of teachers, so I obviously have a teaching board and a parenting board. And we'll show you later in Pinterest Analytics how we know which boards are getting the most repins. For me, my teaching and parenting board are getting, they're in my top 10, so I want them to be up at the top of my boards. And I want the images to be some of my most popular. Either they were, they're getting a lot of repins, people see it, they really like it, or it's different. Or in this case, the dull pencils versus sharp pencils, I actually just switched to this cover about a week ago because I felt like, it's kind of different. We may have already seen it, but it's cute and it really captures what it's like to be a teacher and something different, a teacher tip or a teacher hack that teachers might see and they think, oh, I really want to do that in my classroom. So it's kind of new and exciting. So to go back to my point, when I'm picking my covers, I'm picking my most repinned. I'm picking, that's the other thing, I'm picking pictures from my Play-Doh to Play-Doh posts. So for example, this is a Play-Doh to Play-Doh activity. This science pin is a Play-Doh to Play-Doh activity because I want that to get lots of eyes. And then I'm picking brilliant out-of-the-box teaching ideas that will make people say, ooh, I wonder where she found that. I have to go look in her boards and find out more.
All right, well, I love your covers. I love them so much more than mine. That has been on my to-do list for like months. It's still there. I've got to just spend a whole day and just do a whole makeover. I just have to do it. So, and I love that. I love that you're telling a story, and they really all just kind of, like, you can tell they all go together. Like they match, and they really do, I think, communicate your brand. So that was fantastic. Our next question is from Lizette Edgar from Speech Sprouts. And she wants to know what constitutes a quality pin, what pins perform the best, and are followers still important in the new algorithm, or are your pins just shown by the quality of the pin? And I know, Janice, you were talking earlier about how followers aren't as important as the actual pins themselves. So we're going to go back to you, and we're also going to ask my question that I submitted about how do you write great pin description. So sorry to throw all of that at you, but we're going to kind of roll that all together, and we'll take it back to Janice.
Well, they're so connected that they really do have to go together, so it really isn't a lot. So I'm going to share my screen here and go over to my site. And Malia, I love the way you set up your boards. And I'm going to actually go, can I go back here? Yes, I'm going to kind of go up here, and I do mine a little bit differently, so I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. I went to a bunch of boards when I was first setting them up, once I had a bunch of pins, and I saw that people had a board like this that said start here, and I made this so that people could see whether or not they want to be on my site. So, so here it is. What I did here is I just gave them a little welcome here, and I told them that this board that they're looking at has the top pins of all the pins on my site, that they can just scroll down onto this board and see if it's for them. And then I do a little bit about me, and I tell them how my boards are set up and how when they become alphabetized and why I don't have the alphabetized ones at the top. So that's just a little aside, but I just thought it was interesting the way people, look at boards a little differently. So, or set them up a little differently. Let's see. All right. All right. So this is about if you go on my site. I talked a little bit in the beginning about up here, this is your board description. And in your board description, what I always do in my board description is I do the teacher directions for teaching boards there. And then underneath each one of these are the directions. However, here is also to benefit me, because I want that are looking for complex sentences, I want them to come to my board. Because not only do I have complex sentences on this board, but I also have products that have complex sentences, attached to them, and that's where I eventually want them to go. So I always put the keywords up here in the board: complex sentences, complex sentences. I always have them, and I know it's down here somewhere. I don't see it, but here it is: complex sentence. So I make sure that I mention that word 3 times every time I have a board that I know I'm going to direct people to later. I want them to, I make sure that this is mentioned 3 times so that when they type it in the search, I'm going to come up on the front page. So that's one. And then down here, if they're not looking, if they didn't put in complex sentence and they put in clauses or transitions or something else that's connected to it, I have all those words in here. So here's one example, and I'm going to take you to a more, here's a real good example of how you write your pins. Here's where I have the story starter that the kids would start out with. So let's take a look at this one. Like, when Jean ignored the enter at your own risk sign on Mr. Sedgwick's property line, she had no idea what the consequences would be. Now that's really all the teacher needs to have in order to execute this lesson. But I put the content standards in here, and then down here, if I pin a couple of these to a group board, then, and they say, oh my gosh, I love those, then this link right here will bring them right back to this board so that they can come back and get more. And then up here, I have 50. I put 50 story starters even when I only had 3 of these lessons up, because I wanted the people to know that I was going to be making more and they should keep coming back, and this link is going to take them back there. And then if they want to sign up for my newsletter, I'll say, hey, if you like this and you want more tips, here is a link to my newsletter if you want to sign up. So all of these things are really important if you're trying to drive people someplace else other than to this particular board. All right? So now I want to, I think it's this one. No. All right. Kelly, you had said I saw like a post that you made, and you said, "Oh, I think you should write some blog posts, for teachers on, how to set things up." So I started this board is going to turn into a blog post at one point. So the question, going back to the original question, is about quality pins. So this is not a blog post yet, but this is a screenshot of quality pins. On the Pinterest site, there is a blog that Pinterest has, and they define quality pins. What is it that makes them send a pin out in front of other people, And it has to have three things in order to be a quality pin. One is it has to be helpful. That's number one. They put that first, and I think there's a good reason for it. Another thing, it has to be creative or beautiful, and then it has to be actionable. Like, it just can't be a beautiful pin that helps you out, and here they want you to click on it and somebody can either get more information or they can buy something. So those are the three things that Pinterest says, but I want to show you like how that might work for different kinds of posts. So here's one. This is what I didn't do till about 6 months ago, and what a difference it made for my repins. This is a link that will take you to my blog post about the mastering the top 3 spelling strategies. And down here, I used to write the beginning of my blog post, or I'd say, for great tips on spelling strategies, click here. And then I changed it to telling them exactly what was in the post, and then my repins they were astronomical. So here I call it the Essential 3, and when you click on that, what information am I going to give you? I'm going to give you a list of 1,000 words, I'm going to give you a reading response sheet, and I'm going to give you the 25 most common prefixes, roots, and suffixes. Now they know before they click on it whether or not they want to go in. So telling them what's in your post, amazing for repins. That's my newest tip. That's my favorite new tip, by the way. And then over here, this is a different one. I made a video. This is on my YouTube channel, and here people need to know that they're like, what is this? So I'm calling this. This is the second thing where it has to be creative or beautiful. And over here, I'm thinking this is creative because you can put paper in and you can put Post-its on it and you can print pictures on it, you can print words. So I made a video. So many people asked me how I did it because I use them in my workshops. I put little Post-its on their papers, and like, oh my gosh, how'd you do this? So I made the little tutorial. However, people want to know, how long is it going to take me, and is it going to be easy? So down here in my description, I tell them they're going to watch a 1-minute video, so they know it's only going to take 1 minute. And then I gave credit to the person who I went and read her blog post, and I said, this is so cool, I'm going to make a video out of it. And then I'm putting my newsletter link down here in case they liked it. They might want to sign up, and that works pretty well too. And then for actionable, these are free teacher checklists. And I think that this gets pushed out really well by Pinterest. I mean, they keep sending me, please promote this pin. Well, they don't say please, they say promote this pin. But I've gotten this 3 times, and I have not done a promoted pin yet, but I'm going to do one real soon, because this one gives everybody a list of all the Common Core checklists for grades 3 to 12. They get the whole set of them. Plus, they sign up for my newsletter, so that's going to really be helpful to me. So that's probably my favorite new thing to do, is to tell them what they're going to get. So here's the actual quote from Pinterest. This is what they say is what they're considering quality pins and what they're pushing forward. Another thing I want to mention, now ignore this one because this is going to go against what I'm saying, but you'll get 23% more repins if you have shots without faces. So this is going to be repinned, and it has been repinned a heck of a lot more than that, because people want to see what it is that they're getting, not somebody's face that they've never seen before. So I think part of this question was also our followers. Let's see, I can get out of this now because I am going to, let's see, I want to go over here and stop. Okay, now you're seeing me?
Yep, we got
it. Okay. Are followers still important? Yes, because what happens is your followers are going to get your pins. They're going to get pushed there, but instead of getting, like before when I used to pin, they would get maybe 5 or 6. If I pinned the same thing 5 times because I just thought it was so amazing, everybody should see it. If I pinned that 5 times, then they'd get all 5 in their feed. And now they're only going to get 1. And along with that 1, and this is where it's great if you don't have any followers at all, if you don't even have a single follower, and you see that one of my pins is going through Pinterest and it's got like 500 repins, and you call your pin something similar to that, Pinterest might pick it up because they're going to send related pins, anything that looks like it's very similar to mine that's worded the same way, and they're going to put promoted pins all together, and that's how it's going to show up in somebody's feed. So they're all going to get mine. My followers will still get my pins, but they're going to get ones that are related to mine as well. All right, did I miss anything? I think I did. What did I miss?
I don't think so. I think you covered an awful lot there. That was, that was a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
And I just have a couple quick comments and questions. First off, both of you ladies, do you see more action with your pins that have photography? I think that's a big thing in Pinterest right now. Is it more about the real life photography versus the stock photography even? What do you think about that?
May I answer that? Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. That would be my number one. If I could get down on my hands and knees and beg you to try something, it would be to take pictures of the activity. Because, for example, let me pop over and show you a screenshot, so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to open up my Play-Doh to Play-Doh board so you can see a recent pin that I have. And okay, right here. This would be a Teachers Pay Teachers typical product, right? You would get a pack of these cards that you cut out, and if I had this in a screenshot layout where you were just seeing the little, the sheets, and I had a pair of scissors, a clip art pair of scissors, and I was trying to show you what this activity is going to look like, you couldn't quite grasp it. But now I have a picture of it in action, and it makes a world of difference on my repin numbers. I'm getting far more repins than on this than I would have if it was a screenshot. And I would also mention you have to kind of play around and see what your followers like. So on my board, you can check out my board. My followers are going to be different than your followers will be, but this will give you a good idea. If you look at the Play-Doh to Play-Doh board, for example, and you scroll through and you see, for example, this has 55 repins, and it's just the activity. Down here, let me see another one. You can see we've changed our focus to be primarily just the activity and no faces as much. This is a face, but we're trying to, it's kind of hidden. But we're doing a lot of just the activity pictures. But go through somebody's board, a popular board, and see what's getting a lot of repins. This one has 61, no faces. This one is a printable, it's 188, no faces, it's vertical. There are lots of things that you can learn from just looking at other boards.
Excellent, yeah. And I think, too, just as a user, just thinking about what you're attracted to as someone who wants to repin really helps you think about what kinds of pins you want to put out there yourself. And Janice, I really liked what you had to say about descriptions. I think so many people just don't even pay attention to their descriptions and just type in whatever comes to mind and keep it as short as possible, where your descriptions are very long and they're very descriptive, and you're thinking about keywords and you're thinking about what's getting searched. I think that's really valuable. And I think a lot of people don't know either that you can put links in the description and that they're clickable right there, that you don't have to just click through the image itself, but that you can click on those links. And I think that was a great point. A question that I had for you, Janice, before we move to the next one, the video that you showed, which was with the Post-its, that was really cute. do you have that so that the video can play right inside Pinterest, or is that you click through to your blog to watch the video?
I think it plays right inside Pinterest, but it might link to YouTube. I'm not sure how I did that one. Because I have it on my website, and it plays right away on my website. But I think in Pinterest you have to click on the picture, and it goes to YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. I think also a lot of people don't realize how you can utilize video right inside Pinterest. That makes it really engaging as well. So moving along, we are now going up to the intermediate level questions, and this one comes from Miley James from Edison Education, and she wants to know, how should you time your pins so that you're not spammy? We don't want to be spammy and sleazy to our followers. And then there are two more that kind of go with that. Maria Drain from Sped Creations by Maria Drain wants to know, is there a specific time of day that is best for pinning? And then Bridget from the Math Giraffe wants to know, how many pins should she do per day or during just one sitting? So I know that's a whole lot, but they kind of all go together. So Malia, what advice do you have about that?
So we'll start with the first one, which is, how should you time pins so that they are not spammy to your followers? And I use a Pinterest scheduler called Tailwind. They have others, Ahology or Viral Tag. We'll talk about those in just a little bit. But I have it scheduled so that I'm repinning once an hour. That way it's spreading out my pins. I can sit down in one session in the morning and pin all of my pins for the day, but it won't actually show up on my boards all at once, because then if I have more than 10 pins in one sitting, I am put on Pinterest radar, and they can actually tag me as a spammer. They've done it before, which that's when you know you're really addicted and you have a problem. That's when yeah, you have a problem. But if you, which is a side note, because if you notice that your repins are going down quite a bit, and it's a pretty substantial difference, you may want to actually email them. I've emailed them twice now in the last 6 months, saying, I've noticed a difference. Could you please check and make sure that I have not been tagged as a spammer? And in both cases, I had been. And so they just remove that flag from my account, and then suddenly my repins go back up. So it's definitely worth, you can just Google Pinterest, email Pinterest, and the link will come up, and you just send them a quick note, and they'll look into it. It usually takes about 2 weeks to hear back from them, just because they have a huge influx of emails, but that's a helpful tip. In terms of the time of day that's best, it used to be that the evening was the best time, because that's when most Pinterest followers are actually online doing repins, but that has changed quite a bit because of the changes in the algorithm. So my new approach is to just pin once an hour throughout the day. I'm trying to hit that 20 pins per day mark. I might get a little bit more or a little bit less, but that is my goal, is 20 per day. And I'm going to switch over to the screenshot really fast, because I know that number can sound really daunting, especially if you're just starting and you're thinking, how in the world am I supposed to find that much content? But I'm going to show you a trick really fast. So let's pretend that I do know that these boards are my most popular boards. So in the morning, when I do all of my Pinterest scheduling for the day, I'll click on one of the boards, and I'll just click on a post or a pin that's done pretty well. So this one had 120 repins. Let's go ahead and click on that. So this is from Mrs. Jones Creations. I love her Creation Station, Mrs. Jones Creation Station. So when I click on that, you can see over here, this is my Science for Kids board. I already know it's there. But down here, it says more from Mrs. Jones Creation Station. So I'm actually going to click on that, and it's going to pull up all of the pins that have come from her site recently, and you can see some big trends. So you can see this this jelly bean pin has been pinned quite a bit. So if I hadn't already pinned it, I would definitely be repinning that. Her alphabet book has a couple of repins here, so I would definitely be pinning that. So look for things that are being pinned again and again, and pin them onto your own boards, because other people like it. So, you know, it's a good place to find some good content. I'm going to go back to that pin that I was just looking at, and then I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom, and you can see some related pins. So the more you pin, you're going to start seeing what your followers like, and when you see it, you're going to know in an instant if it'll be a hit or not, for the most part. Sometimes there are things that just fizzle, but find some content down here that you think your followers would like and repin it. So the 20 pins does not have to feel daunting. There are definitely places for you to look to find content that your followers are really going to enjoy.
Okay, can I ask kind of a follow-up question?
Sure.
I'm wondering, do you have sort of like a network of friends who have kind of similar content, and you kind of use that as a strategy and you repin each other's things on a regular basis?
That's a great question. So yes, and I actually have a blog tribe that I am part of, and we've been together for a couple of years now, and so I know that these, when I repin something from these specific sites, my followers are going to love it because we have similar readership, and so building those connections is really important. And yes, so yes, the answer is yes. I keep going back to a couple of sites over and over again. I'll check them several times a week just so that I can repin some of their content because I know that it's going to be a hit. So.
Right, and then they do the same for you.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so that moves us on to our next question from Kristen Vivas or Vivas. I'm not sure on the last name. And her store, her TPT store, is just by her name, Kristen Vivas. Or Vivas, again. Sorry, I hate butchering names. And her question is, where exactly do I check my stats on Pinterest, and what should I be looking for in those stats? And this is really, really critical for a business account. So Janice is going to help us out with that.
Okay, so are we still in here? Let me look. I think we are. No, I need to go back one more. All right, I'm going to show you the static one first, and then I'm going to take you to the steps so that you can see how this works. Okay, so here is the one where I set it up. I'm using mine as an example. All right, I went into my Pinterest profile. That will be the first one I'm going to show you in a minute. This gives me a list of all the boards that are my most popular boards. So the first two boards here are fourth grade friends and high school and highschool.com. And those two are group boards. So, and then down here, this is a pretty brand new one. And this one is Rachel Lynette's. And this one is climbing fast to the top because she has very strict rules about, like how many you can pin, and it can't be anything that you're selling and all that kind of stuff. So she will take out, if your pin doesn't get 10 pins, she will kick you off the board. She'll kick that pin off the board, and eventually, if you're not doing well, she kicks you off the board. So, but this is really nice to know, because I know if I want to get something through, if I've just made a new product or I just did a new blog post, I am certainly going to send it through these boards because these are my top boards, and the other ones are all my personal boards that have done well. And right in here, I know that if there's any possibility of me pinning something to any of these, of course, summer activities for teens, that's going to be hot now, but that will drop, as soon as fall comes, that won't even be on the top list anymore. So it's nice to go into this one, your Pinterest profile, and this is for the last 30 days. I pulled this up, I think yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. But so this is very, very current. So now I know, which ones I definitely want to pin from. I love Malia's idea of taking these top boards and putting them to the top. I didn't think of that, and I love it. Here are the three things that are the most important for you to look at. The repins, which is this column right here. Wait a minute, sorry. Here's the impression. The impression, I think that's a weird word. They're your boards that are doing really well here. And then over here are the repins from those boards. So it's great to have something repinned, because a lot more people can repin it and it'll live for a long time. However, the number one thing you want to look at are the clicks that you're getting. So if they're clicking through, that is showing that they're really interested. You know, it's sort of like putting something, oh yeah, well, I'll pin that and I'll look at it later, and you never do. But if people click through it, they're probably super interested, and that's when you're probably going to get either a sale, or you're going to get, you know, somebody that wants to be part of your newsletter, or whatever that, you know, whatever that could be. And this column is likes. Those are good, but they don't give you as much bang for your buck as your clicks and your repins. So I just wanted to show you mine from yesterday, but I think I should show you how to get there.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Yeah. So you know, where do you go? Because when the analytics first came up, I was looking at them and I was trying to figure them out, and it wasn't making a whole lot of sense to me. Oops, I just got out of it altogether. Let's see. All right. All right. So here's where you're going to go. Here's where you're going to find your analytics, right where that little cog is, and you drop that down, and then you click on analytics. And you're going to see 3 boards that are going to come up. It's going to be, you know, your Pinterest profile, your audience, and then the activity that went to to my website. So I have a website called elaseminars.com, and that's mostly all of my seminars are listed there, but I sell my products on there as well. So I right now don't care about this at all, because I'm not getting school districts hire me or conventions hire me. You know, I don't care about this much at all. This is the one that I want to find out more about. I might want to know who my audience is, but I'm not really sure what to do with those stats as much as I do know what I'm going to do with those. So once you click into those, it's going to tell you, you know, like how many people come and just take a look at my boards every day. And then down here, these are the things that the people liked pinning. Like, I haven't repinned these 2 in ages. So the fact that these 2 are getting a huge amount of pins just floors me. So that's what I mean about the shelf life being huge. Like, you don't know. Like, this soundtrack is the soundtrack for your life. It's an amazing pin, but, you know, I think the last time I pinned it was last year, but it's still at the top of my list. All right. And then here are my boards that are doing well, and if I want to see all of my boards that are top performers, I can scroll down and it's going to show me all of my top boards. All right, so these are the boards that people come back to and visit again and again. You can click in here just to get it specific, so that you can see how your repins are doing. I just like seeing it all together, though, because then you can just look right down that column and see, you know, what are your. Wait a minute, I think I need to go back one more. No, wait. But you can do it this way too. All right, so it'll show you your repins here, like how many of them, and then you can hit on your, click on the clicks, and it'll show you the difference between the 2. And this is the one I visit the most. I visit my impressions to see what boards are performing, and I click here to see how many people are clicking through and what things they're actually looking at. All right.
And Janice, can you clarify for us what that term impressions means?
Well, impressions is just people that are looking. They're looking at either your boards. That's the hardest one of all. I mean, I don't know why they call it that, but they're looking at your boards that they may not have done anything. They may have just come to my site and just browsed and just scrolled through, and they didn't click on anything at all. Well, okay. a ton of people will do that. Then the next one is how many that actually showed up, repinned, and then how many of those people, or how many at least of the impression people, clicked. Because a lot of times people won't repin my products, but they'll click on them and buy directly from there. So, okay. You know, yeah. All right, so let me get back and stop sharing the screen.
All right.
Am I back?
Thank you. That was nice. We got A backstage pass to Janice's analytics. All right. Next, our question comes from Elizabeth Clark from the Big Kids Hall, and she wants to know, at what point is it really worth it to invest in something like Tailwind or any of the other pinning schedulers, because I know there are a lot of options out there. I've definitely heard a lot of TPTers recently talking about Tailwind. That seems to be the most popular in the circles that I've been in. So, Malia, what is your take on Tailwind, and when do you think it's important, or when is it valuable to start using a scheduler?
So I've used a couple of different schedulers. I was actually with Viral Tag for a while and liked it, but my repin numbers were not quite as high. And the reason that Tailwind's getting a lot of positive feedback right now is because they have an API key, which means that they can pin directly into your Pinterest boards. So if I pin through Tailwind at midnight tonight when I'm sleeping, when it shows up in Pinterest feed, Pinterest analytics are going to treat that as though I'm sitting in front of my computer right then and pinning that pin. So it gives my pin more juice because Pinterest sees it as a true pin instead of being a spammy pin. So Tailwind is great. I think it costs about $15 a month. And I knew that I wanted to switch to a scheduler because of what I was talking about before, where I was noticing that I was getting, my pins were just dropping significantly if I was sitting down and pinning all of them in one sitting. So once you decide that you're really going to take on Pinterest and you want to make the effort to really build your followers and get a lot of traffic to your site, or your Teachers Pay Teachers store through Pinterest, that's the time to step up and actually put forth the money. And you can do it 1 month at a time. It's not that you're committing yourself to pay $15 a month for the rest of your life if you don't use it, but it's definitely a sanity saver and a time saver. And I will also mention there's a Pinterest scheduler called Ahology. It's AHALOGY, and it used to be invite only, but now you can actually apply. They have a pretty long waiting list. It's free though, and so if you are looking to start with a scheduler, that might be a good one to just apply for. And once your name is drawn, you'll actually be able to use their scheduler program. And they are the ones, if you ever go to a website and you see that little pop-up box and it says, Malia, Play-Doh to Play-Doh, pinning fun learning activities for kids, that's from Ahology. And so it's a plugin that people are putting on their website.
Wow, that's cool. That's one that I had not heard about. So thank you for sharing that. And just so everyone is aware, it is right about 10 o'clock right now, well, Eastern Standard Time, that's where I am. And we do have 2 more questions we're going to go over, and then possibly if there's a couple quick minutes, if there's like a really, really like dying, desperate question someone wants to type in, we might be able to cover 1 or 2 more of those. So the next one is from Krista Brown. She wants to know about rich pins. First off, Malia, can you tell us what rich pins really are, and are they important for us as small business owners to use?
Yes. So yes and yes. So rich pins are what you see when you are scrolling through Pinterest and you see that little picture, that little logo next to a pin. So for example, right here, from this Reading Mama, this is her little rich pin. Let me see if I can grab another one. Real House Moms, this is their rich pin. So the reason rich pins are so awesome is because if you are really taking your TPT store or your website seriously and you are ready to step it up and really create a brand for yourself and your business, it's a great way to do it because you want people to see your business and see a pin from your site and know instantly that that is from Play-Doh to Play-Doh or that is from Real House Moms. It's just another way to create an impression and create a lasting impression in people's memory about your store.
Okay, and how exactly do you set it up as a rich pin?
Google rich pins on Pinterest. And I know that sounds like such a cop-out, but truly just go to Google and type in setting up rich pins on Pinterest, and Pinterest has a really easy to follow step-by-step tutorial, and they'll walk you through it. They'll walk you through the whole process. It can feel a little overwhelming. It probably takes about an hour to set up because it just seems like it's a really daunting task, but I promise you'll go through each step, and at the end you'll have big, beautiful, rich pins on all of your pins too.
And how often do you do that?
You only have to do it once. So you set it up,
okay.
and then it automatically, everything else is taken care of. So you set it up once, you pick the logo, and then from then on, all of your pins have that little picture next to it. And I will say I'm almost positive that you have to have a business account in order to be able to set up rich pins. My kids are coming home, just so you know, so if you hear some chatter in the background, that's what's happening. But so if you need to set up a Pinterest or a business account, that's really easy to do. You can just type in setting up a business account in Google. Are you noticing the trend? And then they will, it's basically flipping a switch. So they'll tell you exactly how to switch it over to a business account.
Excellent. We love Google.
Yes, we do.
Google it up.
That's right.
Okay, so our last question is at the advanced level, and it comes from Bex Mon from Reading and Writing Redhead, and she wants to know, have you tried promoted pins? How do you feel that it went? How often is it okay to pin product pins, if at all? When should you try it? How much should you spend? Does it work? I know that was a whole lot to throw at you, but Malia, do you want to tackle it first, and then we'll hear from Janice? Oh, yay, we get to see the little ones.
You guys can say hi.
Hi.
Say hi. Okay, so surprise. Okay, so I am using promoted pins right now, actually. So I'm going to give you a look at my dashboard. Oh, I need to switch this over to screenshot. Sorry. Hang on just 1 second. Okay, so thank you for being patient. So all you have to do to set up a promoted pin is type in promoted pins on Pinterest in Google, and they'll walk you through it. But you also have to have a business account for this piece too. It does give you really good analytics, so that's a big plus. I know you're paying money for it, but you know, there are pluses to it. So there are two different kinds of campaigns that you can set up. One is an engagement campaign, and then one is a traffic campaign. So engagement just means repins. You can see this little logo right here, and it looks like you're pinning back and forth. So that's when you pay for people to repin your pin. So if I'm doing, I have a Sight Word Games pin right now that's on a promotion, and I pay, if I wanted to pay for each repin that I get, that's the type of a campaign I would set up. And then the other kind is, I know Daddy went outside, yep. The other kind is a traffic campaign, and that means that I'm paying for people to actually click through to my site. And so, you know, you just have to decide what your goal is for your site and for your specific promotion, and then you can decide what kind you would like to set up.
I think he's outside.
How often do you typically set up your promoted pins? You do like one at a time, every so often?
Good question. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't just spend a ton of money and then end up without any return on my investment. So what I did is I set up about 3 different pins, and I used some engagement and some of the click-through campaigns, and I tested to see what results I was getting. So if I was actually seeing a significant jump in my page views for my click-through campaigns, if I was seeing a significant increase in my sales, and then I was able to tweak it. I set my daily budget to $5 just because that is something that felt comfortable to me, and then I was able to track and make sure that I was getting a return on my investment and selling more based on that $5 investment that I was putting up at the beginning.
Right, great. Okay, that's helpful. And Janice, tell us a little bit about your experience with promoting pins.
Well, I have no experience with promoting my own pins.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But what I wanted
have a great tip.
Yeah. But what I wanted to share was yesterday on the Social Media Examiner, there was an article, an amazing article with pictures and arrows and all the things that you want to have on how to set up promoted pins on a budget. That was the title of it. I actually have the link to it in that last place where I was. I think it was called Pinterest Tutorials for Sellers. So it's in the second row. So if anybody's interested in that article, it was a really great article. And just like Malia said, they suggested that you start at $5 as what you're going to set the limit as, and for every click it should be 15 cents. And they said start that way, see how it goes, and if it goes well, then take that same pin and do it again at a higher price. So I just because Pinterest keeps contacting me about promoting that same pin over and over again, I thought, great, doing it on a budget, because I didn't know how much they would even allow me to do. So it was a really nice tutorial. So this week I planned on promoting that particular pin.
That is an awesome tip. So you said you have that pinned on one of your boards that we can find?
Yes. It's the one. It's on the second row right now, and it is Pinterest Tutorials. It's the one I just put on today. Pinterest Tutorials for Sellers. It was the one that I was showing you all, the one that's going to become a blog post. But I just thought that was a great article. And there's a guy that does a podcast on Pinterest. His name is Jeff Seif, and it's called the Manly Pinterest Podcast. He is great, and every time they have something new on Pinterest, he talks about it. He's really entertaining and has wonderful guests. So that's kind of worth a look as well. And the link to his podcast, one of his podcasts, is also in that folder.
Oh, great. Awesome. Mm-hmm. All right. So those were all of the questions that we were able to just go through. And just wondering if really quick anyone has a really, really pressing question that we could answer really fast before we end. So I'm going back to Q&A. If anyone is out there and you have something you are absolutely dying to know, type it in really quick. I'm just scrolling through. We've got lots of great comments. Amaze balls, Susan Berkowitz says. Lots of people were telling us we're sounding fine. That's good. Everything is great. Well, I don't see anyone typing in a question right now. So it looks like, ladies, you have done more than an amazing job of giving us all this great new knowledge. I'm sure we're all just going to wake up super early tomorrow, get on Pinterest, and get our Pinterest groove on. So anyway, just to wrap up our evening, I just want to say, if you're not already in the TPT social media tribe, it's a great place to come to talk about Pinterest or any of the other social media platforms that you're on. We have lots of great discussions there all the time. Janice and Malia are in there as well, so if you have a question for them, I'm sure you can pop in and ask them there later if you think later, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't ask this. Also in our group, we have sort of an offshoot going on right now, the TPT Social Media Surge, which is like a 4-week challenge. We're tackling one big platform per week. So last week we did Facebook. We just started today with Instagram. Go check out Becky Wimmer's post on that. She did a fabulous job kicking it off. And after we get through the surge, next week we're actually focusing on Pinterest and then ending up with Twitter, which I can't wait for because Twitter just like blows my mind. I'm just not, I don't know. Anyway, after that, we're going to do a more focused study on Instagram inside our social media tribe we're going to call it Instagram Insiders, so that's going to be fun. And something to look forward to, if you enjoyed this chat, you just wait. We have another one already planned and in the works for Instagram Insiders, and the ladies who are going to help us out with that, they are phenomenal as well, and they might even be watching this chat right now. So thank you, ladies. If you're out there, we're going to keep it a little secret for now, but that is something cool to come. And just the last thing, I am just so grateful, Janice and Malia. You have been phenomenal. I'm just so impressed that you have given us so much of your time and poured your amazing strategies out to us and given us a little like backstage look into what you really do. I mean, I have learned so much just in this 1 hour, and I have, paid for a course on Pinterest, and I learned a lot from that course, but what I have just learned in this 1 little hour with you has been so, so very valuable, and I'm sure everyone else who's watching feels the same way. So everyone who is a part of this right now, and maybe even watching it later, I would just ask if you would just take a moment to help them out and repin for them. So I have links to their business boards on my website where you found this video. So if you could just kind of click through and find some things that would be valuable for you to repin, that would be a huge help for them. And just send them some love. Write some comments on my blog page or over in the Q&A section, just to let them know how much we really, really do appreciate their time. I mean, they are just phenomenal. They blow my mind. So thank you so much, ladies. You are amazing. And the last thing that I did say already, there is going to be a replay. So if this went just way, way, way too fast and you want to kind of go through a little bit slower and catch some things that you might have missed, or maybe you got in late and you want to watch the beginning, or you had to leave early and you want to watch the end, it's going to be on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to keep it right inside my blog so you can come back to the same spot. So anyway, thank you, ladies. We love you. Hugs, kisses. Have a good night, everybody. We will chat again online.
Bye.
Bye-bye.